Sharon Cruz.
Almost nothing or no one from my birth through high school prepared me to live in a world with black people in it. Yet, for what I firmly believe to be a God-ordained choice for me, I requested my first teaching job at Roosevelt Junior High, which was then over 90% filled with black students. I am not colorblind, because for 7 years those young people taught me to see the world through their black eyes. I came to Manual in 1969 with its first freshman class. Over 4 decades of former students are still in my life and my family and influence my thinking. On WEEK, Dr. Lathan, you stated that board members received phone calls asking why those children were being bused to Charter Oak. I also react when I hear negative racial comments using words such as those people or the pronouns they or them without an antecedent to identify who they are. However, doesn't throwing this tidbit of information out without further explanation make you also guilty of speech meant publicly to cast aspersions on all those parents to whom you have done enough harm for 1 year? How many board members told you about these phone calls, and how many did they receive? Why is this your story to tell secondhand on TV? If race is an issue, and it probably will be for longer than I had hoped, then this is the place for the discussion. I have believed that District 150 could benefit from and should have a black superintendent. I know I'm asking for that which is probably impossible, but it is best for District 150 children, black and white, to have a superintendent with the least racial baggage, someone that can teach young people not to think of themselves as victims. A superintendent, black or white, has enough on his or her plate to provide all children with the right racial environment without spending some time fighting battles about their own personal battles about race and gender. Dr. Lathan, you failed to acknowledge your own errors in the Charter Oak and Lindbergh situation. Change only works when you prepare people for change. Your bombshell approach isn't working to the benefit of District 150. Also, why assume race as an issue? Charter Oak was already well integrated. I do believe John Witterauer may have been your one hope at making those new students welcome. You blew that. I do not find it difficult to believe that your disagreements with John included his unwillingness to use a watered-down reading program to accommodate the inner-city students. My question is, how many inner-city schools are using below-standard reading programs and why? Below-standard expectations seem to be typical of some 150 schools.
I'm sorry, this is really getting incendiary.
The underlying assumption seems to be that inner-city schools have so many strikes against them that they cannot be expected to adhere.
Ma'am?
Mr. Coy, point of order.
Yes, ma'am. Would you care to amplify that?
I don't get to finish.
Racism's a really loaded word. If there are going to be accusations of racism and you're going to stand here and unanswered accusations against our administrators across the district in several schools,
May I finish my speech, Laura, please? I have at least 2.5 more minutes to go. And maybe I'll explain some things before I get to the end. Because I'm definitely not race baiting. Do I get to finish or not?
You can continue, and let's make sure that she has sufficient time here.
But I would like to make the point that you are hurting our teachers and administrators by what you're saying, and I do not think this is the appropriate forum.
Well, we'll FOIA some information. Someone else spoke to this issue already. I'm sorry.
Let's get back to the speaking.
My heart is in. Well, anyway, I'm sorry. I realized I was going to tread, but I didn't know. All right.
Misunderstand. This is freedom of speech.
I'm especially
shocked. As offensive as your comments may be to some people, you have a right to make them. So.
Thank you. And I certainly.
Mr. Eisenhammer, would you care to comment?
No, I just want to let her finish.
Yeah.
I'm especially shocked when black administrators do not understand that lowering standards is an admission of such racially biased thinking. And don't make the parents the scapegoat. You set the standards and parents will have to conform. A couple of years of no-nonsense standards and consequences would do wonders to prove to all of you that most kids will behave when they know they have no choice. Young people should experience consequences which should be inconvenient or harsh enough to change behaviors. One of my former students, now a teacher, just put this note from her student on Facebook. "You're so hard on people because you care. Other teachers care too, but if they don't get on their students about what they have done, it won't work. I love you and always will. No matter how much you make me mad, I still will." My former student gets it, and her student gets it. Why don't you? District 150 has eliminated summer school and night school, two very important ways of holding students responsible for their failures. Success achieved from do-overs often leads to real success that builds self-esteem. Giving kids unearned grades doesn't make them feel good about themselves. Inflated grades and unearned higher graduation rates do not lead to meaningful jobs or success in college. My first principal, Buck Smith, taught us to be fair, firm, and friendly. That motto served me well. Whoopi Goldberg recently offered school administrators some good advice. She said, "I know it's old school, but if you tell kids something is not okay and you don't follow through, your word doesn't mean jack. Board members, you aren't asking the right questions or people to learn the truth, and it's your job to see that policy is followed." I am hurt if anybody misunderstood anything I said about race, because there is nothing on this earth that is more important to me than race relations. And I mean that from the very bottom of my heart. I have biological part of my family is black. My whole life is filled with black young people who have meant more to me than anything in this whole world. So please do not accuse me of being racially insensitive. That's the last thing on earth you can accuse me of.
During your response to the audience presentations, Dr. Latham.
Yes, we are going to go there as it relates to race. How dare you continue on a monthly basis to bring up and try to throw in our faces, it's my face, as an African American, that race does not matter. We have tried, and I'm going to finish because you got back up twice, to be politically correct. You say you want to talk about race. Well, let's talk about race. When you use terms like those students or say that busing does not work, and it started in the 60s when we were having issues, and you continue in 2014 to talk about, you can sit down because you will not be recognized, to say busing doesn't work or that race is not an issue, and you make comments that you make on a continuous basis, it is offensive. We're tired of hearing that busing doesn't work, that I don't see race, or my heart bleeds for race. You can never, and you will never know what an African American or any other minority experiences unless you've been in that position. No, let me finish because you had a chance to finish. I am tired of people dancing around issues. We have 14,000 students in our district, all 14,000 count. I don't care what they look like. We have high expectations. If we did not, we would not be implementing AVID, advancement via individual determination. We would not have increased the number of advanced placement courses. Board members, I believe you received a report about two weeks ago that shows we have increased the number of advanced placement offerings at all three of our high schools in the past several years. I believe we went from 328 to 768 tests that were administered this year. So let's talk about high expectations. International Baccalaureate. Go compare District 150 to other urban school districts. Take a look and see where International Baccalaureate programs sit in neighborhoods. When we brought in International Baccalaureate and we're in the pre-authorization phase, we strategically placed it across the entire district, South region, Central region, and the Northern region, because we do have high expectations for every child in our school district. Every child. I think some of us are getting it confused because you're worried about people coming into the neighborhood. People don't want to be there because they're not welcome anyway, because you keep talking about what's not working. We are trying to work. We have listened to you over and over again. We don't listen because we won't change. We're not making an administrative change. Why don't we, and I extended the olive branch about 2 months ago. I said, let the healing begin. We need to bring closure and move forward. Some of you don't want to move forward. You continuously come up and say disrespectful things, but let it be known we're moving forward in this district. You might want to check the data to find out for sure. If you're basing it only on the ISAT information, you're wrong. NWA shows, Dibble shows, we have made tremendous gains academically. We do not have a watered-down reading program. The problem is we're teaching all children to read and giving every child access to a quality education. And I think that scares people, but I'm all for it. As a District 150 parent and as a District 150 employee and as a City of Peoria resident, I'm saying we're moving forward. To my staff, I thank you. I know it's hard to sit down and listen to this. I said it at the last meeting, stay strong. And as it relates to special education, the state told us we had more students when I arrived here over-identified as special education. Maureen, Mr. Langhoff, what was that percent then back in 2010?
In 2007, it was between 23 and 25%.
23 and 25%. Where are we at now? 18 and 19. And what is the state?
Should be closer to 15.
Supposed to be closer. So we still have a lot of work to do. So we put programs in place. We're going to keep moving forward. It's not my way or the highway. It's the way of the children. If you didn't understand that by watching a specialized graduation program tonight for one child, because it's about every child in our district, then you don't want to work with us. You say you feel tension, you feel hostile. No, we're just tired of people being disrespectful to these 7 people that give up their time free of charge, and people think that they don't listen, that they don't hold me accountable, and all those staff members. You're really confused. But you're not privy to confidential information and personnel information, and you will not be privy to it. But here's the thing. I'm still ready to meet you halfway. I'm going to keep working, but you're not going to continue to be disrespectful and not be called on the carpet. Race does matter, and race is an issue in our city and still in our country. Have a good night.